Can Victor Wembanyama ever live up to all the hype? Rich Eisen show. In a short answer, I think he can. He's going to have to be really, 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 really good. But I think he can. I don't think he has to be LeBron James. I don't think it's that level. I don't think he's got to be one of the greatest players we've ever seen. I think if Victor Wembanyama can get to that Kevin Durant kind of level to where, and I don't mean like career Kevin Durant. I just mean if he gets that level to where he's an absolute lethal scorer. He's one of the best scorers in the NBA. He is a, day in, day out, lethal kind of dynamic scorer. I think if he can be that, I think that'll be fine. That'll live up to the hype. I think if he does anything above that, you'll get into that territory of LeBron James where it's like, okay, he's exceeding the hype. He's somehow going over it. The NBA is interesting because NBA has so many busts that you don't have to be, like in the NFL, to be the number one overall pick, especially like a quarterback, you basically have to win the Super Bowl or be right there, be at Super Bowls, be competitive to solidify the draft pick. The NBA, not so much. Like you don't have to really do anything playoff wise. Like Damian Lillard is a good example. Damian Lillard has done virtually nothing. They've won playoff series, whatever. But as far as like winning a title, getting to the finals, doing all that, he's done nothing. But I don't think anyone would say Damian Lillard didn't exceed the hype. Even if he was taken first overall, I think you would look at Damian Lillard's career and say, yep, okay, that's totally fine. Great career. So can Wembanyama have that same production as like a Damian Lillard type? Can he do that? I think so. And if you throw in the fact that, he's so unique, he's 7'5", even if he just exists, if he just has any kind of a long career, has some blocks, plays some defense, figures it out on the perimeter, if he does all that, I think he can certainly live up to the hype. Now, what Wembanyama might struggle with is the celebrity. He may struggle with coming to America, being 7'5", living that lifestyle, being in the limelight all the time. That may present an issue.
Top story, I think, all weekend long. Victor Wembanyama making Tim Duncan and the Admiral, David Robinson, look like point guards. I don't know where this was in San Antonio.
Look how small.
This is crazy to think about. That's David Robinson, Hall of Fame center, Tim Duncan, maybe the best power forward to ever live, Manu Ginobili. You look at these guys, and they do look like fans. Like David, I understand David Robinson's older, but this is a Hall of Fame level center in the NBA. And look at how Wembanyama makes him look.
I don't know where it was, but you're just like Sean Elliott's on the left, and Tim Duncan's on the right, and David Robinson is in the middle, and Manu Ginobili looks like
like kid, put him in his pocket.
Exactly. Like let's just get him. Let's just get him. Honestly, I'll be very straight up. If you put up that photograph, he looks like the sommelier at the restaurant that they're at. Okay, like ask Manu what wine would pair well.
We have a beautiful Argentine
with dinner.
red.
And honestly, David Robinson looks like just the dude who's like, hey, would you mind taking a picture for my son?
My son Sean Elliott.
Oh, my son. Oh my gosh! And by the way, just where was Tony Parker in this? He's kind of like the only guy missing from this photograph, right?
Yeah.
He could be the one who took the photograph. I don't know. But
Maybe.
Couldn't ask for better role models. Victor Wembanyama tweets out, and by the way, he's so not wrong. That is completely spot on.
Yeah, nailed it.
Just reminding us all once again what an incredible landing spot he has found for himself.
Yeah, the only question is the pop question. Like, it's kind of like the Patriots, like how long will pop be there? How long will the Spurs culture be there? Wembanyama, you would assume at some point is going to have a very different culture during his career. Like Popovich won't be there all the time. He won't be there his entire career like he was for Duncan and that whole group.
And how the hype that we are going to get once the season hits is already at a fever pitch. Because I'm seeing this photograph with Robinson and Duncan and Sean Elliott and Manu Ginobili, and these guys are all going to be there pitching in. My gosh. Talk about an alumni association, right? For him to have at his disposal, and they already clearly making themselves available.
And maybe I might have this wrong. So let me know in the comments below. But I just think the NBA is so different that the hype is pretty reachable. I understand that Wembanyama is a very heralded prospect, a can't miss kind of guy. But let's say he has the same career as Anthony Davis. Would anyone say he was a bust? No. But Anthony Davis is nowhere near the LeBron James, kind of territory. So, and Davis was a first overall pick. LeBron was a first overall pick. That's why I throw them out there. No one would say he was a bust, right? Let's say he had the same career as Dwight Howard. Had a few years there where he could be the MVP, a few years, go to a finals, very dominant type player, averaging 30-something points a game. Would that be considered a bust? No, absolutely not. So I don't think that there's that. I don't think the hype is at a level to where it's unreachable. And I think it's just because of the way he's built. I don't think anybody, at least I haven't heard anyone say this is the next Michael Jordan. This is the next greatest player to ever play, because he's so unique. No one's expecting 7'5" Victor Wembanyama to do the Michael Jordan type things. I think people are more like, can he survive the NFL season? Can his body hold up? But if it does hold up and he is productive, especially productive at the level of an Anthony Davis or a Dwight Howard, where you could argue they're the best player in the NBA at a certain time there, I think everyone would be like, okay, hype checked, box checked, especially if they win. Especially if the Spurs can reclaim something and the Spurs can be a perennial playoff team and all that. So I think that the actual expectations physically on the court for Wembanyama are dialed back. I don't think they're as high as like LeBron's were. LeBron's were very, very simple. LeBron's were, he's the next Michael Jordan, right? He's the next guy. Can he become the greatest player to ever play? And LeBron did. LeBron met that. But I haven't heard anyone say Wembanyama is the next Kobe Bryant. Can he be better than Kobe? Can he be better than Kareem? Can he be that? So, maybe I'm off there.
To talk to him and welcome him and say, this is the way it works here. Talk about a Spurs culture. How about those guys talking over dinner, telling pop stories, right?
Very good.
For the kid.
And if you look at that picture again, just to put it in some type of reference for people.
Yes.
Sean Elliott, 6 feet 8 inches tall.
Yes.
David Robinson is 7'1". Manu is 6'6". Okay,
that's crazy. That's nuts.
A foot on Manu.
Manu Ginobili would by far be the biggest man in this whole campus if he start walking around.
Yes.
And look at that. It's unbelievable.
Yep. And
that is crazy. Like when you think about Manu right here, it's like Manu's probably wearing a double XL shirt, but it looks like a medium from Express. Like Tim Duncan is probably wearing custom clothes because of how big he is. Wembanyama is just towering over all of them. It is always crazy to think about that, how big these people are.
That's also part of the hype that he's going to have to deal with, because he's already being placed on par. He is. He's already, like, this is the next generation of Spurs star. And when I see the feedback on the old Twitterverse there, that, sort of like an eye-rolling response, like, okay, now he's got to go do it.
Yeah.
I don't have any doubts. Do you have doubts that he's going to do it?
Yeah,
I don't have to. I honestly don't. If you told me he physically will hold up, because when you have a frame like that, it's always hard to, it's hard to expect somebody to be able to play 80 games a year and not get hurt. And then if you do get hurt, I would assume rehabbing as a 7'5" guy is not easy. So take injuries away, I have no doubt that he'll be able to perform. He does. Like when he's played against the G League players, he has absolutely dominated. He's averaged 30 plus points a game whenever they do play. He's dominated in Euro leagues, which we've seen from the Jokic's and the Lukas. Like the Euro leagues are good. So if he's dominating the Euro leagues and dominating G League competition, there's no doubt in my mind that he can come in and at least be an all-star level good in the NBA. But again, to my point, a good comp I think would be like Dirk, where Dirk was a scorer. Dirk was lethal from the perimeter. He could shoot from all over the place. He could do some things that no one else could do on the court. I think that's Wemby's game. Wemby's game is going to be creatively scoring around the perimeter, and then he's got so much more size. I think he will be a lane protector, a shot blocker, things like that. But if he's not quite Dirk, but a little under that, like a little bit above Kristaps, a little somewhere in between Kristaps and Dirk, like that's a pretty good player. That's a pretty solid player. That's a good player. So I don't think it's a situation where like, hey, he has to be better than Dirk. He has to have a better career than Dirk, or he's got to be better than Tim Duncan, because he's so unique. How can you possibly compare Tim Duncan with Wemby? Like Wemby is going to be more of a shooter, more of a perimeter type player than Duncan was, and Wemby's not going to be he's not going to be Shaq. He's not going to be posting up and exclusively living in the paint. He's not going to do that. So he's not going to be Yao Ming. If you take like another really tall player, he's going to be a combination, I think, of Yao, Dirk, and Kevin Durant, which is a crazy kind of mix where he's got the length and the kind of unique, freakish, length and height and all that stuff of Yao. He's got the shooting capability of Dirk and kind of Durant. He's got the frame of more of a Durant. How's that all going to play out? Time will tell.
I mean,
do you have a single doubt that he's going to be as good as advertised?
Skill-wise, no. You kind of look at the body, but Brockman and I have been talking about this. I've been kind of reading a lot about Vic for like the last 2 years, and Rich, the things that this kid has been doing to get himself ready for the NBA grind, like he has a diet that they made for him, which really concentrates on the strengthening of bones, which I've never heard anyone doing before.
An
like
osteoporosis way of looking
at it.
Just
a ton of
he's
milk.
been working on strengthening ligaments and tendons in his body for the last few years. So, barring like a Chet Holmgren situation where his body just implodes because a brick wall named LeBron hit him, I mean, skill-wise, no, I'm not going to say the guy's going to be the greatest player ever, but I think he's going to be special.
See what I'm talking about? Like, we're already, when I hear people talk, this is what I hear. I hear a lot of like, hey, look, we understand he probably won't be the greatest player ever. We're not saying he's got to be MVP level. Everyone is pretty much just saying he's just got to be good. There's so much like, can he even do it? That if he can do it, by do it, I mean play in the NBA, withstand the physicality of a LeBron James or of an Anthony Davis or whoever. If he can do that and be above average good, all-star level, I think everyone will say this was good. Like this was fine. No one is the hype, I don't think, has reached a point to where it is that he has to be multi-time MVP. He has to be multi-time finals. Like to me, for whatever reason, maybe it's his unique size, but everyone has tempered the top end of the hype.
And
this year.
And this year, yeah.
Chris, do you have any doubts? Because the hype the hype is going to only intensify.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, the hype's been huge and astronomical for the last 6 months anyway. When we first saw this kid play, for the Mets, and it's just, rookies rarely come into the league and make an immediate impact to translate to wins and losses. There's a grind.
No doubt.
Twice as many games as you're used to playing.
Yeah.
He is, he's 220, but when stretch that out over 7'5", looks kind of rail thin. I don't know. He's going to get dunked on a lot. He's going to, guys are going to go after him. Can the Spurs make the playoffs? I want to see what else they add.
But he'll also be different. Just because he's 7'5", he's not going to be sitting at center down low. He is going to be a perimeter player. So defensively, he'll look interesting because he will be on the perimeter a lot. He'll be moving around a lot. He won't just be sitting trying to protect the basket. He will obviously get a lot of blocked shots and things like that because of his length and because of his wingspan. But he will look defensively different as well. If his rookie year is the same as like Paolo was last year, I think everyone will say, okay, all right, box checked off.
Adding free agency. Wouldn't shock me, though, if they're in the play-in next year.
But you guys have already hit on the one aspect that people are wondering if he's going to beef up or not, and it's his body, and it's his arms. That only got accentuated by our third-hour guest interviewing him over the weekend and posting on our Twitter handle her rock.
Yeah, I mean, you see this, and you wonder, like, how that's going to work. You wonder, like, is this going to work? Is this going to hold up in the NBA? We don't know. I mean, that's the big question. I think that's why people are tempering that expectation that, this frame, this body, like we've never seen how this can play out in the NBA. So everyone's excited. I think people are excited to see how this plays out, but I think that also has benefited him with tempering of these expectations. We'll see. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Do you think that he will live up to the hype? Do you think Wemby will be good? Do you think he'll be a bust? What does it mean for him to be good? Is an all-star level player good enough? Is that meeting the hype, or does he need to do more? Let me know in the comments below what you think. Thank you for watching, ladies and gentlemen. I will see you on the next video.